Hey everyone, what's up? Yeah, it is about 5:47 a.m. Let me work on something here for a second. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, but it's about 5:47 a.m. on this Sunday, June the 10th. Like I said, it's 5:48 now a.m. Pacific time on this Sunday, the Sunday, June 10th, that is. And as you see the title below, and that's my dog. She just woke up a little bit. As you see the title, basically, I'm here to talk about the recent mid-season finale, which is The Mean Six. Yes, The Mean Six, which was the finale or mid-season finale, basically the summer break finale on Friendship is on the current season, season 8, that is, of Friendship is Magic. And I know some people have sort of a mixed reaction to it. From what I can tell, it's like a lot of people have a mixed reaction as to um, why this episode is even here, if you will. Well, not why it's here, but what's the purpose of it? Some people have that mixed reaction. They, like I said, they have that mixed reaction, and okay, like I said, it kind of has it basically so far has had a mixed reaction. I mean, some people have liked it, some people have not liked it, and it's kind of understandable why. Because when you look at the potential the story has, it's almost like it's a story that could easily gone um, two ways. It could have easily gone two ways, if you will. And what I mean by that is a lot of people feel that the way it was portrayed, or the way the characters were portrayed in this, was well, kind of stupid. Was kind well, I don't want to say stupid, but it's like really, you know. So you're not gonna have the character. You're not gonna have the main six, if you will, find out about what happened. You're not gonna have them question, hey, why are we acting like this? I mean, yeah, yeah. To them, it's kind of like, okay, we're going through enough right now. We're going through um, Twilight wanting to get this trip going and wanting us to, because basically what this was mainly was not just a camping trip, it was a retreat, kind of like, let's take a step back and relax, kind of um, reinsert, or what's the word I'm looking for? Um, reevaluate our situations, our stance right now as teachers, stuff like that. So again, um, it was it was kind of understandable. I just want to make sure there's something, but it's kind of understandable how some people who like the episode can kind of interpretate. Let me just fix this here for a second. My hand hit the mic there. Can interpretate the fact that yeah, these clones that Crystallis made could have basically really upped the frustration, the mental frustration, the tension that was already there, even more so. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Excuse me. Here's the thing, though. Even though Crystallis could have easily upped the ante a lot more, even though Crystallis unintentionally, as I put it, kind of with the mean six, upped the tension a little bit more that was already going on. Basically, how do I put this? And it's early, so I do apologize. But basically, Crystallis, I don't think, anticipated when she created these clones that these clones were going to turn on her. She didn't anticipate that. She didn't think that her spell was going to backfire because, basically her intention was obviously have the main six turn against each other and then inevitably turn against Starlight and basically take away the one thing that they value the most, which is friendship. And to me, that's exactly what we're getting with this episode. And that's one thing I've noticed some people haven't pointed out. I mean, some people have liked it because of the fact it had a dark comedy feel to it, a comedic feel, and that basically Crystallis has now been reduced to a not a subpar villain, but basically a villain and antagonist that is on the brink of insanity if she's not there already, to the point that she's still devious. She's very devious in her methods. She's still devious in her methods, but it's more along the lines that it's more along the lines that she's so desperate and determined to get back at Starlight Glimmer, to get back the main six for taking away her hive, her kingdom, her changelings away from her, that, like I say, she's on the verge of this. Again, what I'm trying to say is, let me get my thoughts here straight. If you didn't think she was on the brink before, she's basically there now. She's basically there now. She's basically on that brink of real insanity. Even though she, like I said, she's still very devious, in her methods. She's still very devious in her planning. She can come up with some great ideas and stuff. But again, I think because she is so determined to get back at Starlight, to get back at Twilight and the rest of the group, that she doesn't realize that what she's creating with these clones are not just exact opposites of what the main six are, but she's also creating a Twilight that is the exact opposite of Twilight, but it's also basically a Twilight that's very, I wouldn't say Starscreamish, as some people put it, but has her own motives. It's like, okay, you can create the other main character, the other member, you can create clones of the other main six, and they'll be easy to manipulate and get to follow orders, but yet you're creating this clone of Twilight Sparkle who's very intelligent and knowledgeable, and oh, by the way, is a princess, thus making her more powerful than you. And you're doing this and you're not realizing that you're basically putting yourself at risk of betrayal, because this Twilight, if she's just as smart and as intelligent as the real Twilight, is going to come up with an idea to stab you in the back. And basically that's what she does. Almost not even 8 minutes in, if you will, into the entire episode, not even 8 minutes in, and the evil Twilight, which has been dubbed Twilight Snarkle instead of Sparkle, comes up with the idea of, hey, why should we do what she says? Why should we get the elements for her when we could have it for ourselves? See, and I think that's the one thing when you look at Crystallis's portrayal in this episode is, like I said, she's so determined that even though her plan's great, even though she's got a great plan to try to get back at Starlight, Twilight, and all of them, she doesn't take into account exactly who she's copying, who she's cloning to help do her bidding, because what happens is, a bit of spoilers, at the end, the clones, mostly thanks to the evil Twilight's suggestion, they turn on her. They turn on her, and here's the one thing I will give the creators credit here. Here's the one thing they did do with her. They were able to make Chrysalis be in earshot when she overheard what the evil Twilight was going to do. At least they had her in earsight to be like, what? And basically confront evil Twilight. Because I think the line she gave is a traditional villain line of when they find out they're going to be betrayed, and that is, how dare you? And Chrysalis does bring up some good points. She gave them life. She gave them life. How dare they turn their back on their creator? But again, I think this is the fault of Chrysalis. Chrysalis basically, like I said, had great intentions, had a good plan, but basically that plan backfired because one of the clones is a clone of the Princess of Friendship. That's a more powerful being than even you, as is shown in that little battle that they had towards the end. And you don't take that into account because you're so focused, laser focused on getting even with the group, with the main seven, that you don't realize, yeah, my plan's great, but maybe I shouldn't be making a clone of Twilight. Or if I'm going to make a clone of Twilight, maybe I should figure out a way to make sure she doesn't betray me, do something. I mean, like I said, the idea was good on paper. The execution just didn't work. Because basically all the mean six were nothing more than clones. That's all they were. They were nothing more than clones. And I don't think Chrysalis took that into account, that they were just going to be opposites. I mean, yeah, the timing, ironically, was good timing for them to go out and cause dissension, or at least cause more dissension between the main seven. I mean, the timing was good. Don't get me wrong about that. The timing was good. But in the end, it's like, I don't think, but in the end, it was just basically, and thank you for tuning in, Black Shadow. And you have a right to your opinion, no doubt about that, because I think that's how a lot of people feel right now. Feel the kind of back, like I said, this episode's kind of back and forth, and that's kind of been the emphasis, as I said in my discussion, my overview, my looking back at the first half of the season. A lot of people have felt that way about not just this episode, but other episodes as well. But like I said, when you look at when you look at the plan overall, just trying to get to the point here, so I do apologize if I sound like I'm rambling. Like I said, it's a little after 6 in the morning on this Sunday morning, so I do apologize if I'm rambling and all that and repeating myself. I do apologize. But basically, like I said, the execution overall of her plan was good. Execution was good. The only thing is, she didn't take into account that the clones she was creating were not just exact opposites, but one of them was basically an evil version of Twilight. And if she's anything like the real Twilight, is very intelligent, sees the bigger picture, and realizes, hey, if we're exact copies of the originals, we're the ones that should have the power and not Chrysalis. And like I said, you think Chrysalis would take that into account, but she didn't, because her laser main focus was not only to get the elements so she could probably use them to control all the pony tribes, if not all the creatures in Equestria to do her bidding so she can create a new hive. I'm guessing that's what it was going to lead towards. Or basically use them to get all the tribes to be subservient to her, to surrender to her will. You know, we don't know what the payoff would have been, and if you know what her real goal was when she obtained the elements. But again, the execution was good. She just didn't take into account that one of the clones, like I say, being the evil Twilight, was going to be the one to have the group turn on her to get the power for themselves and not for her. But here's what really stands out to me, and I don't think a lot of people pointed this out. The Tree of Harm, well, okay. Again, here's what kind of stood out to me a little bit, or one thing that people didn't point out. The Tree of Harmony may have gone dark a little bit. The elements all might have gone black a little bit, gone black, dark when the clones, the evil copies, the mean six touched the tree. But here's where some people probably don't take into consideration. The Tree of Harmony came to life, used its magic to entangle the mean six and basically kill them, basically return them to the tree bark that they came from. You know, that's what it did. They didn't take into that. What I'm trying to say is, they didn't take into consideration that when it did that, it didn't touch Chrysalis. Think about that. It should know that Chrysalis is the one responsible. It should sense her magical influence in them, and should have either maybe used its magic to either wrap itself around her and maybe change her into the good changeling, which a lot of people fear she's going to become soon, or maybe just zap her of any magic she has left so that she's not a threat anymore. But it didn't touch her. It didn't do any of that. And I think when you look at Chrysalis's expression, she's even surprised, like, you know, it didn't touch me. It didn't hurt me. But she doesn't say that, but she's got the expression of surprise, like, here's this Tree of Harmony taking out her minions, and initially her version of the main six, just like that, by melting them down back to the bark, to the tree bark they came from, but it doesn't attack her, even though it should sense her magical influence in the mean six. So what that tells me is the Tree of Harmony was either corrupted, possibly, like Dr. Wolf pointed out in his review, or this is an or because it can sense the good in creatures, obviously, the worthiness, it may have sensed a little bit of good. Maybe not so much yet, but just a tiny bit of good in Chrysalis. Think about that. I mean, think about why Chrysalis wants to get even with Starlight. Why she wants to get even with the main six. Because she wants her hive back. She wants her changeling kingdom back. It's not just she wants control of Equestria, not just that. It's more along the lines that she wants her kingdom back. She wants her changelings back. That's what she wants. But she's not getting that. But she's not, getting that due to the fact that her plan here backfired. Or she's not seeing the bigger picture that some ponies like Starlight and Twilight and all them, even Thorax, is trying to show her that, hey, you want your kingdom back. You want to be part of your hive again. That's not a problem. You just got to let the inner goodness that resides inside of you to come out. And I think when you look at that moment where the tree doesn't even go after Chrysalis, even though it should sense her magic, it's almost like it could sense a bit of goodness in her. Because one thing some people have pointed out, and it's been pointed out in the show, the Tree of Harmony will only the tree of harmony can sense who is worthy and not worthy. And apparently it is, well, and when you put it that way, again, I'm sorry it's early and everything, so I do apologize if I'm stuttering a little bit, repeating and rambling. But when you put it that way, it almost sounds like it can also tell who has good in it, or has good in them, or some good in them. Like and like I said, like some people like Dr. Wolf, and I think Cartoon Gentleman and a few others have pointed out, basically it sounds like, I'm trying to think here, hold on for a second, that basically it sounds like, as I was saying, and again, I do apologize if I'm rambling and stuff, but it sounds like, in a sense, it could tell that Chrysalis has some good in her. Maybe not as maybe she's not showing it right now because she's so blinded by her hatred or her disdain or her obsession to get even with Starlight in the main six, that she's not seen, that she doesn't realize the reason the Tree of Harmony, that, like I said, probably sensed her magical influence in the mean six, in the clones, and that it could have easily gone after her because she was in the same vicinity, but it didn't. And I think it should dawn on people that the reason it probably didn't is because if it can sense, and because if it can choose those that are worthy to bear the elements, basically sense the good in them, perhaps it sensed some good in Chrysalis. And if that's all we're going to get, at the fact that there might be some good, there might be some decency in Chrysalis that's willing to do the right thing, if that's as far as we're going to get with her character in the series so far, I look at it this way: it's better than nothing. I look at it this way: it's better than nothing, because at least that there is some kind of decency in this character, that even to the point that the Tree of Harmony won't even go and harm her because it can sense that. But when I look at the episode overall, and I do apologize if it took me long to really discuss things. Like I said, it's early. It's not, it's still early. It's about 6:11 a.m. Pacific time. It's early. I'm just rambling a little bit, stuttering. So I do apologize. Repeating myself, I do apologize. That happens when you get up early and do this stuff. But when you look at this episode, and I think you look at the season as a whole, one thing that people have said about the season, I think I mentioned this in my looking back video I did earlier, is the fact that it almost seems like the characters are going back to their earlier season personalities or personas. And some people like that, some people don't. It's kind of a mixed bag. But what I look at with season 8, and mostly like with this episode, is this is going to be a season that's really going to test their friendship, because I think what's going to happen as we get closer to the end, maybe it's going to be showcased or acknowledged in the season 8 finale, is yes, they are friends, and yes, their friendship can overcome a lot of things, as Twilight said at the end of this episode. But it's going to show that even though their friendship can overcome everything, can overcome certain situations like spats and little tension, like tensional spats and all that they had, and even misunderstandings, I'm guessing what's going to happen is it's going to be acknowledged that yes, their friendship will overcome a lot of things, but they have to accept the fact that even though they're good friends and that friendship will overcome stuff, that they have to accept that they're different in some ways, that they have certain likes and dislikes. Like Starlight pointed out here, she doesn't like camping, and she shouldn't have just, put on a fake facade as if to say, yeah, I'll give camping a champ. I'll love camping. She should have just came out and said, guys, I appreciate the offer, but camping's not for me. I'm just not that kind of a pony. She should have easily said that. And Rarity should have been honest in the first place, too. She should have just said, like she did at the end, that she needs her stuff. She needs her own amenities to survive in the great outdoors if she's going to camp. But she didn't do that. And I think that's what this season at the end in the season 8 finale is leading towards. The fact that they're going to realize, okay, we are good friends. Our friendship's going to will withstand every obstacle that gets in front of us. But we have to accept that we do have our differences in likes and dislikes. In other words, they're going to basically at the end, the friendship's going to allow them to accept that, yeah, you may like this or you guys may like certain things, but I don't. And that's good. And that's cool. We don't always have to like the same things or even pretend to like the same things. So that's what I'm guessing it's leading towards the end of this current season. Because again, this being the mid-season finale, you can kind of see that that's being hinted at. And then you got an episode later on in the second half that talk about Rainbow and Rarity's friendship being tested and whether or not they should be friends at all. And of course, we know they're going to remain friends. That's obvious. Because why even tease that in the synopsis? But the thing is, that's what the season's about. It's like they're being tested. The friendship is being tested even more so now. Now not just with being teachers and everything, but also with learning that even though they're good friends and always will be good friends for as long as they live, that they're all going to have differences. They're going to have a difference in opinion. That they have their own likes and their dislikes, and that they're going to be friends. They need to be honest with each other, and that honesty is basically, hey, like with Starlight, hey, you guys may like camping or you may like roughing it at times, but it's not for me. So go and enjoy yourselves. I'll remain here and watch the school. That's all she had to do. And as far as Rarity goes, I mean, I love Rarity, but she should have been honest. She said, yeah, I'll go on the camping trip with you guys, but I need these things to go to make myself feel at home or feel comfortable. That's all she had to do. But she didn't do that. So I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. Like with Pinky, they got an episode centered around Pinky in the second half. It's going to be along the line. With Pinky, it's going to be more like, yeah, they accept Pinky for who she is, but she's going to learn, okay, maybe not everybody, not every pony is going to be as excited as I am to do certain things. I mean, to do certain things or to do certain things or try different things. Not every pony is going to be like me in this group that's going to want to enjoy playing a musical instrument, even though I may not be good at it. Or not every pony, even if they're my sisters, we saw earlier in this first half of season 8, are going to enjoy surprise parties that I put on for them, and they just want something simple. So that's the way I look at with season 8. I look at season 8 as being like that, and this mid-season finale proves it. Now, again, there are some things people pointed out about this finale that really stuck out to me. One thing that stuck out was, how could the main 6 or the main 7 not tell the differences? How could they not see that something was not right? Something was kind of off about about themselves, if you will. How could they not see that? How could they not try to clue in that, hey, something is just not right? Why is Rarity acting so greedy? Why is Rainbow Dash acting like this? Why is Pinky acting like this? Why is Twilight like this and that? And I can understand how people feel about that. But to me, I think it's more about the intrigue. It's about the mysterious intrigue. And what that is and what I mean by that is it leaves the door open for interpretation. It leaves the door open for interpretation in the future. It's like, for example, when I say it leaves the door open, to me, it leaves the door open because of the fact that, you don't know what's going, that they right now, the main characters themselves, they don't know what's going on. I mean, all they know is they had this tension building up within them, and all of a sudden, yeah, they forgive each other. They kind of talk it out at the end, with Twilight being the one to basically apologize for being so pushy. But yet, they can't put all the pieces together like, okay, I mean, they all apologize for their actions and all that, and not being truthful about, their likes and dislikes or needs and not needs. But I can see what people are like, okay, that's great and everything, but they really couldn't tell that there was something off even besides that. Like, why is this character acting like this? I mean, even when they went to the campsite and saw it destroyed, it's like, Twilight was shocked and a little depressed, but it's like, you can't tell me that they couldn't put two and two together. It's like, wait a minute. If we were so mad at each other, when did we have time to do this? To take our frustrations out on the camp? When did we have time to do that? It's like, they couldn't put some pieces of the puzzle together and be like something and realize that something was off. I mean, I could see that, but again, I think what that leads towards mostly is the intrigue. It's the intrigue that gets left behind. The intrigue that, hey, something was just, not right. Something didn't feel it again. And thank you for some of you guys that are joining me right now live. And I do apologize if I'm stuttering a little bit. It's early. It's about 6:20 in the morning. But it's like, to them, you couldn't put two and two together. Or at least try to put some pieces together and be like something was off. And maybe finally have them acknowledge that, hey, maybe the we's that encountered each other were not us. Like, have Twilight, being the intelligent one, being the leader, being the smart one, be like, you know what, maybe something wasn't right. And, put Rarity's investigation skills to the test too. Because Rarity's obviously good at investigating when she puts her mind to it. Be like, you're right. Something felt off. And, I think obviously they're going to come back to this in season 9, I'm assuming. Because, like I said, they're going to be like, well, when did we have time to do all this? When did we have time to take our frustrations and angers out on the camp? When did we have time to do that? And it should dawn on them. And hopefully, again, I know a lot of people hoping for this. They acknowledge what happened down the line. Like, they come to realize, hey, it's like, yeah, we may have been angry with each other, but we never had time to do this. Something's off here. So to me, that's what I'm guessing. So I will agree that hopefully they will come back and address that maybe in season 9, that if they have Chrysalis come back in season 9, they acknowledge what happened. Like, you have her confront Starlight, maybe have her confront Twilight or whatever, and one of them, if not the entire group, mentions what happened in the forest, mentions what happened on the camping trip, and that it took them a little bit to realize that the only creature that would be willing to do that, be willing to put their friendship at risk in such a manner or take advantage of the tensions they had at that time, would be Chrysalis. Now, here's the thing. When a lot of people may mention and say that, the main 6 not knowing, or the main 7 not knowing exactly what was going on and why things were really so intense besides the tensions they already had. Some would say, like I mentioned, it leaves the door open for mysterious intrigue if not to go back to at a later date. Because think about it this way, you can't, and I think what Nicole Dubach, if she has worked on the Ponyville Mysteries and other shows like Star Wars, like the various Star Wars shows on Disney XD and such, if there's anything she's proven, if there's anything been proven by her time on the series right now, is you don't always have to have a straight answer or a straight revelation about what's going on. It's always great. It's always a good idea to leave the door open. It's always good to leave the door open for further investigation. And I think that's what she did here. She left the door open to be, she left the door open, or she left the case, in this case, the matter unsolved, to be brought back or to be acknowledged and brought back at a later date. Because you can't tell me that maybe down the line off panel they may get help from Star Swirl or something, or Celestia and Luna, and maybe just like at Ponehenge they'll get some kind of holographic imagery of what happened there previously, and then kind of get the idea that it was Chrysalis that created these clones. So maybe they'll go back to it by doing something like that. But basically, basically if they go back and acknowledge what happened, or at least, like I say, off panel, maybe find out exactly what occurred, I honestly believe it's going to help in the long run. I really do. It's going to help in the long run, because that if before the season ends, that they're going to, not the season, before the series, I should say, ends, they're going to bring Chrysalis back. They're going to bring Chrysalis back, and hopefully they acknowledge what happened here, and hopefully they acknowledge what happens here. Either they have Chrysalis herself acknowledge what she did, and the main seven kind of be a little surprised by this, but not so surprised because she's so determined to get revenge. Or have them acknowledge what she did because, like I said, just like at Ponehenge, they get some kind of holographic imagery showing what happened. So, that's my guess. That's only my guess. But yeah, when I look at this episode, as I mentioned earlier, I can see how people feel about it. I can see how people feel that it had potential to be good, but it failed. And I can see how people feel the opposite. And they say, hey, it was good and it didn't fail. It actually was a decent mid-season finale. Because I think what they look at is the bigger picture. They look at the fact that it leaves the door open to go through at a later date and be referenced and acknowledged, if not followed up on. And it also kind of gives you an idea. It kind of gives you an idea that this season, as I mentioned earlier, is all about testing the friendships of the main seven, and mostly having them realize that true friends accept each other for who they are and accept them for what they like and they don't like. And I believe when you take a look at several episodes that preceded this earlier this year or earlier this season, you kind of get that idea. You kind of get that idea that that's exactly what this is leading towards. I mean, and to top it off, they have them running this school of friendship. And I think what that's going to lead towards in the end is them either remaining as teachers or agreeing that the school of friendship was a good idea, but they themselves still have a lot to learn about friendship, even though they've learned in the end that true friends accept each other for who they are and accept each other for the likes and dislikes. Again, that's just my opinion on the matter. It's just my opinion. So overall, though, the Mean Six, though, I think had potential, really did. I mean, the start of it was good. I'm not going to deny that. The start of it was good. Like I said, the start of it was good and everything, and I don't know why. Here's one thing I will question, and I will talk about. I want to mention real quickly, and some people have questioned this. Why didn't the main six ask why Shutterbug, aka Chrysalis, was taking bits of the hair at the same time she was taking bits of taking the pictures? I mean, I understand she probably said it was for historical significance, so they can not only have pictures of who these heroes were, but have actual physical evidence for documentation and for preservation. But you couldn't just have them maybe stop her, or at least Starlight step in and say, hey, that's enough. And then another thing some people question is, okay, Chrysalis, you created these clones, but yet you were forced, even though you didn't want to take a picture of Starlight. And you have this picture of Starlight. You don't have her hair, which is part of her DNA, but you have a picture of her, and you could create a clone of her that you can manipulate and mold in your image. And I know some people are thinking, well, maybe she didn't do that because Starlight would probably be more powerful than even the evil Twilight, and maybe more corrupted. That might be true, but think about this. The only reason that the Mean Six, the clones, turned on her is they had a bit of DNA of the originals in them because of the hair. So you can't tell me that she didn't have a part of someone's hair or mane to use, that she couldn't clone them still and create and basically mold that clone in her image, or have total control over that clone in her image. I think the potential's there. Honestly, I do. I think the potential is there. But, it's like some people said, they didn't capitalize on it. They didn't capitalize on it or anything. They didn't capitalize on it or anything. So sorry if I repeated myself there, just looking at something here. They didn't capitalize, and I think that would have been great. Now they still could capitalize on it in season 9, because the only photos and stuff that we saw her use was of the main 6. She could have kept the one of Starlight and be like, you know what, and she could go back to this in season 9 and be like, you know what, the mistake I made was using the DNA of these using DNA of Twilight and her friends, or Starlight's friends, and that's what caused them to turn their back on me. But since I just have a photo of Starlight, maybe that's what I just need to use. Because think about it, if you just make a carbon copy, but you don't have no DNA or soul or anything to it, you can manipulate and mold it to your own desires. And I think that's something else that gets left open. Was, again, what I'm saying, that is something that gets left open. The fact that a Starlight clone could be made, but be made in a sense that if Chrysalis is brought back and she revisits this idea in season 9, except now she has a clone that has no traits whatsoever, no kind of DNA resemblance whatsoever, she can mold the Starlight clone into her own image and do what she wants. So, yeah, that's one question I think some people are not asking. It's like, wait a minute, she has this other picture of Starlight, and the one thing that caused her plan to backfire was the fact that she had DNA of the main six used for her clones, and that's what caused the clones, mostly evil Twilight, to turn their back on her. So, to me, I think it's very logical that they need to come, if they're going to bring her back, that this would be one way to bring her back. Yeah, but yeah, overall, the episode, I will say this. The episode overall is probably in the category of some episodes from this first half of season 8. It is a mixed bag. It is something that fans could continue to speculate on. Some people are wondering if maybe the Tree of Harmony got corrupted. We don't know. But again, as I mentioned earlier, even if it wasn't corrupted, it didn't go after Chrysalis. I mean, here's Chrysalis that wanted the elements for herself. And yet it didn't go after her. It went after the clones, the opposites of the main six. Because it could sense that wasn't the real main six. That wasn't the real deal, if you will. But at the same time, if it can sense things, it should have been able to also sense Chrysalis's magical influence or magic essence that was residing in them or that created them. And it should have gone after Chrysalis as well, because she was in the same vicinity, but it didn't. And like I said earlier, I think because, as some people pointed out, it can sense who's worthy and who has good in them. It probably sensed that Chrysalis has some good in her. Maybe not as much as she should show, but she has good. But overall, depending on how you look at it, it does leave the door opened to be revisited. It does leave the chapter of this book unfinished to be finished later on. So, again, the Mean Six, I will put it this way. I haven't seen all of it yet, but from what I've seen, it looks decent. It's going to have a mixed reaction because, some people are like, look, you hyped up this mid-season finale. It's some big deal. You're bringing back Chrysalis, and all you did was turn her into a comedic joke, and all you did was turn this into a dark comedy that some liked and some didn't. In other words, it just didn't make any sense in the end. So, overall, yeah, but overall, the Mean Six, I'll put it this way. Take it as you will. You can like it or not like it. You can find fault in it. You can not find fault in it. You can find reasoning as to why things happened and why they shouldn't have happened, or no reasoning in why they happened. So you take it as it is. You can even point out what you would have done. I'm sure Sharpwit, when he goes on to do his review, he's going to do a rewrite version. He's going to do a rewrite video of how he would have rewrote things for this mid-season finale. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I want to know what Anthropony is going to say when he talks about this, and what he's going to either find positive about it or negative. Because again, this is an episode that, like some episodes earlier this season, you take it as is. You either liked it or you didn't like it. You feel it was a step forward. You feel it was a step back. Do you feel that the mystery that the main six are kind of left in the dark and not knowing what really happened is a good thing and left unopened for interpretation later on, or to be revisited later on? Or do you think maybe they should have had some kind of confrontation or realized that, hey, something was off and we need to look into what's going on? Again, it's just one of those episodes that I think you interpretate at your own way. You interpret it your own way. And if you feel one way about it, that's cool. If you feel another way about it, that's cool. But overall, that's basically what it is. And I think this episode, this mid-season finale for the first half, kind of emphasizes exactly what this first half was. Basically, this first half had some good episodes and had some bad episodes depending on who you want to believe more. And it also had episodes that, like this, are up to interpretation. You either liked it or you didn't. So that's really all I can say about the Mean Six, about the mid-season 8 finale. Again, I do apologize if I stuttered a little bit, if I rambled and repeated. It's early. It's about 6:38, almost 6:40 a.m. Pacific time on this Sunday morning, June 10th, 2018. But those are just my thoughts on it. Let me check one more time if anybody has said anything. Again, I do thank you guys for tuning in early and watching this live. I thank you all for those that tune in post-live after it's been uploaded. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are and everything. And really, that's all I'm going to say. And it looked like Black Shadow kind of retracted one of you. Black Shadow, it looks like you retracted one of your comments. So, but yeah, Black Shadow, watching me is, he says he doesn't like it, even though he's watched it 2 times already. And that's his opinion. He can like it or he can't like it. It's how he interprets it. So, overall, again, though, that's really all I'm going to say. It's one of those episodes that, just like some episodes in the first half of the season, is you take it as it is. You either like it or you don't like it, or you feel there was potential that could have been capitalized on, but it wasn't, or you feel it did what it had to do, and just leave it at that. So, but really, that's all I'm going to say on this. Thank you again all for tuning in early for this mid-season finale overview, if you will. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate the comments and everything, and people, and your like I said, you getting up, or you being up and watching this early. Again, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in live. Thank you all for tuning in post live after it's been uploaded. You all let me know what you guys think in the comment section, either here on this channel, on this video, at Facebook, Twitter, or even at the forums. Let me know what you guys think. And that's really all I'm going to say. So thank you all for tuning in live, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a good Sunday morning, and I am out.